Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys. It's Tuesday, January 23rd. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Alex B. Smith and Dana Lane as we attack the Tuesday card with two shows before the All-Star break left for us. Programming reminder right out of the gate. I made the decision weeks ago that we're not doing a show Saturday, January 27th. It's All-Star break weekend. I will be making maybe a piddly little wager or two here or there on the All-Star game, but nothing really that we're going to take an hour to break down on a full show on a Saturday. So we're going to give everybody that opportunity to sleep in, maybe do something else on a Saturday morning that early. So no show this Saturday during the NHL All-Star break. So we're on Tuesday, we're on Thursday, and then we'll be back next Tuesday, which is when the regular season resumes for the NHL post All-Star break. So just a little programming reminder, just Tuesday and Thursday this week with the NHL Ice Guys. So joined by Alex and Dana, big card here on this Tuesday. A lot of games to talk about, so we'll get right down to business here with the first game, New Jersey, Boston, 51-52 on the rotation. No line yet for this game. New Jersey coming off a really just a poor performance last night on home ice, taking on the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit moving into New Jersey and getting the shutout last night. Peter Mrazek with the shutout win for the Detroit Red Wings. New Jersey Devils got Corey Schneider back in net for the first time. He had been dealing with a little bit of a absence, and Keith Kincaid had been starting repeatedly for the Devils, but doesn't help the Devils and doesn't spark them to any sort of strong performance. A real lackluster showing. I saw that game; it was just flat. They didn't have Taylor Hall in the lineup. That really hurt them from an offensive standpoint. And clearly, it's a guy that had been playing very, very well. We saw him get the overtime winner against the Washington Capitals last week. So not having him on the ice really seemed to hurt the cause quite a bit for the Devils in that game. Now they go on the road, take on this surging, and I mean surging Boston Bruins team. It's like we've been talking about this team for well over a month now, playing great hockey, and they continue to get the job done. The Boston Bruins, and all of a sudden looking like a team that could be just a little bit dangerous now, not only moving forward, but certainly when the postseason rolls around. So in this game, probably not. I'm not going to get involved. I mean, I'm sure Boston's going to be priced pretty correctly in terms of where they're going to be when it's all said and done. But definitely, Boston's a team I'm very reluctant to go against right now, playing very good hockey at this point in time. So we'll see where that number comes out. But Bruins would be the side I'd have to play in that game if I get involved. The next game, 53-54, we got Carolina, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh minus 155, home chalk, the total 5.5 across the board. Carolina looking to bounce back from a 5-1 loss to the Vegas Golden Knights on Sunday. But that was Scott Darling in net, to the point now where finally Bill Peters, a month later than it should have happened, saying we've got to have a sit down, me, the goalie coach, and Scott Darling. Where was this a month ago? Like, because this has been a long month plus of struggles for Scott Darling. You're only diagnosing this now. If you're a doctor and you're just diagnosing the problem now, the guy's already dead. Okay, so it's one of those situations where you're waiting too long on this. Scott Darling's problems have gone on way too long. If you thought you had problems in net. He wasn't confident, wasn't square to the shooter, wasn't seeing the puck well, wasn't on his angles. If you had any kinds of these issues before, you didn't like his post-to-post movement, maybe it was slow reaction time, anything that you had wrong stylistically or a problem with Scott Darling and net, why didn't you address it sooner than this? That's my problem with them now, all of a sudden just now saying, let's talk to the guy. Like, come on. That's too slow, in my opinion. You've lost too many games now with Scott Darling. 2-8, by the way. Scott Darling in his last 10 starts. Not good. So it's pretty clear we're going to see Cam Ward in between the pipes here in this hockey game for the Carolina Hurricanes. I actually like this spot for Carolina here in this game, and I'm going to be on the Canes about plus 135, plus 136. I like getting Pittsburgh coming home, first game off the California swing, where they played a lot of games in a condensed amount of time. Anaheim, LA, and then San Jose on the weekend. So I think it's a good situation from a scheduling perspective. It's an edge for Carolina here, I think, in this hockey game. Pittsburgh returning home off that trip. I think you're going to get a good effort from the Hurricanes here going into this game. And we have kind of seen a little bit more of a up and down nature from Tristan Jarry in net for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So this is one of those games where I think Carolina, it sets up well for them. They're usually a tough out. I think Vegas had a little chip on their shoulder going into that Carolina game Sunday, because it's just, not many teams have beaten Vegas this year. Well, Carolina did earlier this season. Carolina at T-Mobile Arena won in a shootout 3-2. I think Vegas kind of remembered that, played like it, played a strong game. Fleury again was terrific in net. That's nothing new there. So no shame for Carolina losing there. I think you get a good effort from them in this game tonight. Maybe take advantage of a little road weary Pittsburgh team returning home. So I'm going to be on Carolina there. Best price available, plus 136 at Heritage. Give me the Hurricanes as an underdog. You got to take, especially now as we move to the second half of the season, I'm going to be taking a lot more underdog plus price value shots in some of these games. And I think you got a decent looking one setting up here tonight with the Carolina Hurricanes. Andrew McGinnis now, as you can see, has joined us. Good to see him joining the program. We've got Philly, Detroit, 55-56 on the rotation here. No line in this game. Philadelphia is probably the play for me here. Detroit on the second night of back-to-back games. Flyers are getting the job done, playing good hockey. Really consistent. Really good stuff right now from this Philadelphia team. No question about that. We were worried that loss to the New York Rangers, what was it, 5-1? Send that team into the tank again, because again, we're talking about one of the streakiest teams this year in the NHL, but it did not happen. Flyers really rebounded from that quite well. Notch a victory against Toronto, came back on Eric Lindros night to beat the Leafs in overtime. Then you go on the road and beat Washington 2-1 in overtime. Very impressive from the Philadelphia Flyers. Good win in that NBC game on Sunday afternoon, nationally televised game, and the Flyers got the job done there in that one. So it's a team playing certainly with a lot of confidence right now. Their big guns are scoring. They've beaten Detroit in 3 of the 4, or no, they've only played once this year. It was December 20th, 2017. So it was last month. Last month, 4-3. Philadelphia getting the home win against Detroit. Detroit, nice win. I mean, 3-0. Don't take that away from them whatsoever against New Jersey last night. But now playing that second night of back-to-back games, a little tricky for them. Detroit 3-3 this season, second night of back-to-back games, for those of you interested in the second night of back-to-back game stat going into this one. So Philadelphia, interested to see where that price comes out. If it's playable, I think if it's less than $1.50, I'll lean that way and maybe be interested in some kind of small bet. Not big. I mean, Philadelphia is still one of those teams I don't like laying exorbitant prices with. They're a team that sometimes, they have that little clunker where they lay an egg every now and then, but they're not laying eggs right now other than the Ranger game. This team's played very, very well. Top guys are playing well. Voracek, Simmons, go on down the list. You got lots of good contributions right now from this Flyers team. How about Sean Couturier, the season he's had as well? Career high for goals in him, 26. That's 11 goals more than his previous season high, which was 15. He's at 26, and how much season do we have left? I mean, he's just blossomed into an offensive force. We always knew he was a good face-off guy, good penalty killer, good defensive forward. Now he's finding that offensive game, and boy, flourishing without a doubt this season. Sean Couturier in that orange and black. So flyer lean for me in this game, but again, contingent upon the price. We've got Colorado, Montreal, 57-58. No line here. There's no shock here in what I'm about to say for anyone. Again, if I'm on one dog, I don't know if Colorado's going to be a dog here. It's going to be very interesting to see where they price this because of the fact they're on a second night of back-to-back games. But I still think they could be a slight favorite or even money, Colorado in this game. Either way, I'm on Colorado again. Why not? When you get locked into one of these teams that you've been cashing in repeatedly with during a winning streak, I just ride it till it loses at this point. Pretty simple. Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS theory. That's what I'm doing with the Colorado Avalanche. We took them against San Jose, took them against the Rangers, had them last night against Toronto. They get the job done as a big underdog last night, 4-2 against the Leafs. And the one concern with Colorado was, could they take their act on the road? They've been tremendous at the Pepsi Center. Awesome home record for Colorado, but their road record's nothing to write home about. But could that streak and their confidence and their play at both ends of the ice and the play of Jonathan Bernier and net, could all of that confidence and all of that coming together in this winning streak travel with Colorado on the road? It did last night. Good win for them against Toronto. Second night of back-to-backs, yeah, it does concern me. Andrew Hammond, the handburglar in net because they want to give Bernier a rest tonight. Yeah, that does concern me. I mean, Andrew Hammond had a nice brief little run of just incredible goaltending for the Ottawa Senators years ago. He's been pretty bad ever since then. That's definitely something that sticks out in my mind about wanting to back Colorado here a little bit. But nevertheless, all of that being said, we're playing with house money now because I personally have already won enough times with Colorado during this winning streak where if I go for another a winner tonight with them and it loses, so be it. It's still plus units during this run for me with Colorado taking them game in and game out. So Colorado for me, no question about that. And if I'm not mistaken, too, Colorado here in Montreal has had some pretty good success against them recently. You throw out, there's that one debacle last year, 10-1. Montreal just absolutely put the boots to Colorado, one of the more lopsided games you'll ever see. But outside of that, Colorado's won 3 of the last 4 meetings head-to-head against Montreal, including a couple of years ago at the Bell Center when they smoked the Habs 6-1. So, it's been a series where Colorado's matched up quite well here with this team. So again, even though Andrew Hammond, that does bother me, hopefully the Hamburglar turns back the clock and he robs and steals a win tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. We'll see if they're able to get the job done. On the Montreal side, quickly, no problems fading them, even though Colorado's on a back-to-back. They're the hotter team. Montreal's dropped 4 of their last 5. Another bad loss to the Boston Bruins on home ice the other night, 4-1. Didn't play all that well. The only win was against Washington. And oddly enough, Washington hasn't played really all that well since their break ended when they beat the Capitals 3-2. So Montreal, again, nothing to write home about with this team right now. The defense is sort of leaky, falling apart. They've given up 4 goals or more in 4 of the last 5 games. That's not good. Carey Price not getting a ton of help. So no problem whatsoever going with Colorado one more time tonight. Regardless of what the price is, that will be a play for me, Colorado, tonight, to make it 11 wins in a row. And a great point, by the way, for Colorado, one last point. They won last night without Nathan MacKinnon making an impact in the game. That is a positive sign in a big way for the Colorado Avalanche, because really in a lot of these games, he's been carrying them. No points last night for MacKinnon, and they still won the hockey game and played pretty well. That's a real good sign for this Colorado team as they go for their 11th win in a row tonight in Montreal, and I think they've got a decent chance to pick up that 11th win. And Andrew McGinnis, who just joined the show, he's also wanting to talk this Colorado-Montreal game tonight. Andrew, good morning to you. What do you see happening? Can Colorado get to number 11 in terms of consecutive wins tonight in La Belle Provence?
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, you know what? This team has really been impressing me. They've been strong. They've been scoring a lot. But not only that, it's kind of the main thing that you finished on, Ian, was the fact that last night we didn't see MacKinnon. We didn't see a lot of the main guys get involved. We saw a little mix up. And I will say I was even a little bit more excited than I expected to be to see Nel Yakupov put the puck in the back of the net. So maybe he's finally found a home somewhere, Ian. Maybe he's finally going to start flourishing somewhere else, guys. I saw a quote. I can't remember who it was, but I saw a quote just talking about how, it was just like a subtle jab at Duchesne, talking about the team chemistry right now, how they're feeling in comparison to last year. And, if there was ever a time for us to really talk about like psychology and handicapping, this team right now is the team to talk about it with. They seem to be fully dialed into just every single game, giving it your all. They really, truly do believe in themselves, it seems like. And that's huge right now. And coming into this game, I'm seeing at Betway right now plus 125 Colorado money line, and the Habs are a whopping minus 150. So there's no way I'm going anywhere near the Habs at minus 150 right now. There's not a chance not a snowball's chance in hell. But one thing for sure I am going to do with this game actually is look at the over. You know what? I honestly do think that the way Max Pacioretty's playing right now and this Habs team sort of is clicking the way that they're changing their lines up. Finally, Claude Julien is actually changing his lines up and not just staying disciplined and being stubborn and trying to make the same things work over and over again, expecting a new result. I mean, obviously that's the definition of insanity. And I think finally he's starting to realize he has to mix things up and try new line combinations and do new things for this team in the second half. And right now, the way that Colorado is playing, there's no way I would go anywhere else again but the over in these 2 games. And let's face it, Price hasn't really been himself. He hasn't been this complete all-star standout goalie. And, a lot of people can say that, he still is being a great goalie, but the Habs decor is pretty bad as well. But I think there are some goals that he could be stopping and he could be doing a little bit extra, but it's just not there for him this year. And just on a larger scale for everyone, the last 10 games between these 2 teams, Colorado averaging 3.5 goals, Montreal averaging 3.4 goals, both those on the round 30 shots each. And the total has gone over in 10 of Colorado's last 15 games on the road, and it's gone over in 4 of Colorado's last 5 games and playing on the road. against Montreal. So look, guys, this game for me, I think should be an exciting one. I think that Colorado will be kind of tired and a little bit sloppy, but look, guys, I don't think that'll stop them from scoring. If anything, it's going to boost towards my over. I think the Canadiens will continue to find the back of the net. It works well right now. They've got the Hamburglar in nets, and I don't think Hammond's going to have the strongest performance tonight. Look, I'm not saying he's going to go out there and play absolutely terrible, but I think this definitely backs the case for the over if we can get Hammond in the back of the net for them right now. And especially Montreal, a little bit of rest on them right now, playing at home. These two teams always play a good game when they're in Montreal. And a little side thing here, Nathan McKinnon, he loves to perform when he's in Canada, loves to perform when he's in Montreal as well. He's an East Coast boy, so like Ian said, it was good last night that he wasn't involved. But I'm going to use a phrase that Dana always uses. Sometimes players wake up with a little more jolt for certain games, and I think this might be one that's marked on the calendar for number 29. So looking for a big game here, guys. Looking for the over 5.5.
All right, over 5.5, and here's the Hammond numbers in the AHL with San Antonio this season. A sparkling 3.24 goals against, an 884 save percentage. Wow, it's fantastic. That's just phenomenal, just outstanding. Wow, terrific. Yeah, I mean, there you go. There's your case for the over right there. That stat I threw out. Yeah, I mean that's great goaltending, scintillating. Wow. That could be the Colorado team.
The Canadiens are minus 150 either. To even think that they're minus 150, there's no way in hell I could even mess with that. And the only reason I would, if I could, would be because of Hammond being in net. But either way, like Ian said, you got to kind of ride the streak. For me, it's either ride the streak or pass on the side for this one. I'm not messing with Colorado right now, especially with Montreal laying minus 150. Not a chance.
Certainly has a chance to be high scoring because we know Colorado Montreal struggling to keep the puck out of their own net right now. But the one fly in that ointment could be, and I'm not saying this is what keeps it under, but what if this team with Hammond in there, it's his first start this season in the NHL with Colorado, hasn't made a start. They just really tighten the screws and really play sturdy in front of them. They might be looking to do that. We'll see what ends up happening. That might, just help protect the guy a little bit. That's going to be a fascinating game to see how it goes stylistically, how Colorado attacks this game and approaches it. So one of those things you want to be aware of without a doubt going into this game. But over, in theory, I don't trust Hammond in terms of goal prevention. So over in theory to me, Andrew, does make sense there. Ottawa St. Louis, 59-60 on the rotation, no line here. The Ottawa Senators continue their floundering ways going into the trade deadline, where it's basically a given, a shoe-in at this point in time that the Ottawa Senators are going to be selling pieces of this team at the deadline. I think Phaneuf is a goner. There's even been Erik Karlsson, believe it or not, the captain of this team, who's tied up in a massive long-term deal. Rumors that he might be shopped around a little bit and that other teams are interested in the Ottawa Senators top flight blue liner. So all kinds of rumors floating around. Mike Hoffman might be jettisoned out of town at the deadline. A bunch of guys on this Ottawa team may not be there anymore. I think it's becoming crystal clear this team's got no postseason hopes at this point in time. Another lethargic, mistake-filled loss last night against the Minnesota Wild. The effort was there for Ottawa. They carried the play at times against Minnesota, but little bad penalties, dumb things, turnovers, mistakes at bad times all ended up in the back of their net. When you're losing, that's what happens, and that's exactly what happened to Ottawa in that loss to Minnesota. So now you get them a second night of back-to-back games. It was a dastardly snowstorm and blizzard in the Minnesota area last night, to the point where that was one of the weakest crowds I've seen at XL Energy Center at a hockey game for quite some time. Yet, I was still impressed with the turnout, actually, that many people got to the hockey game last night, considering from the way Gord Miller and Ray Ferraro were talking, doing that game for TSN on the Senator broadcast, the way they were talking, that it was almost impossible to get there. And yet the crowd was still just tremendous. They said, Gord and Ray on the broadcast, they couldn't see the arena from their hotel room, which was across the street. Could not see the arena. That's how bad the blizzard was last night in the Minnesota area. But the game was played. Minnesota got it done. I don't know how it affected Ottawa from a travel perspective, getting out of there last night and now getting into St. Louis here today for this game. But You can't love the travel spot or the situation here for Ottawa. You can't love the way they're playing on the ice. They coughed up a lung against Toronto Saturday night as well. 3-1 lead disappears and they lose 4-3. So, and St. Louis, I don't know. I don't believe they've played since the Arizona game, which was on Friday night. Or it's been a situation where that was a bad loss for them. They didn't play well against the Coyotes in that game, 5-2, which was weird because they had two great games in a row against Toronto and against this Ottawa team. This is oddly enough the second time they're playing Ottawa in less than a week here, or in about a 1 week span. So to me, it's St. Louis or pass. I don't want this Ottawa team. I know that. It's just a question of what price we get here in this game. I do believe this is one of Alex's games on his card here. Ottawa taking on St. Louis. Alex B. Smith, what are you looking at here tonight between the Sens and the Blues?
Well, you mentioned it perfectly about last night's game, which was an absolute mess. It's still messy here in St. Paul, and the guys didn't get to the arena until 30 minutes before the Wild. I mean, it took them a while to wake up, and that's why they were struggling in that first 20 minutes of the situation of everything going on. But they turned things around. They were able to get the 3-1 win against Ottawa last night. But here's the interesting thing: Ottawa, as far as I know, they were able to get out of town at a relatively normal time. They did have the airports opened before that game ended, so I don't think there was any travel issues. I wasn't able to find anything as far as them going to St. Louis, but they're actually been a really good team as of late on the second night of back-to-backs. Overall in the year, they're 5-5 in that second night, but they've won 3 of the last 4 within that spot. So, we talk about a Blues team, like you said, that had coming off a bad loss a few days ago against a horrible Arizona team. They've lost 4 of their last 6 games. And we see St. Louis last year around the time the All-Star break struggle defensively, lose a few games, and then they end up making some changes after the break and turn things around. So I don't know if there's something to that where they just kind of seem to struggle a little bit heading into an All-Star break, having these choppy days off, their bye week, then having these 4 days off, and then now getting ready for another stretch of days without games. So I would be looking possibly at Ottawa if we get a really big price here, which I wouldn't be shocked to see if we can find something in the plus 160, 175 range. I think it'd be at least worth the value to take a shot. They can kind of hang around with a Blues team that just hasn't really seemed to be interested in beating these lesser teams that they need to be beating.
That's true. I mean, Arizona was a stunning loss for the St. Louis Blues the other night. So taking a shot maybe with the Ottawa Senators as a big dog. And like I say, even with the struggling teams, the losing teams, worst teams in the NHL still going to win their share of hockey games. Even the absolute worst teams in the league can get you 25 wins, usually something along those lines, maybe 30. So it's a situation where you got to sometimes make a case for some teams like that, teams that are losing, teams that are not playing well, struggling. And Alex, looking at the Ottawa side here as a massive underdog here in this game tonight. Ottawa taking on St. Louis. So interesting to see how Ottawa plays second night of back-to-back. I still think their effort, again, last night was decent. That Ottawa team, again, it was little mistakes that cost them against Minnesota, and that seems to be a recurring theme for them this season. We've got Tampa Bay, Nashville. Good game here, 61-62, no line on this one as of yet. Tampa Bay, give them credit. Nice win last night against Chicago. Chicago played well, but just unable to bury a puck in the net right in that game. Chicago, they had chances, glorious chances at times, but Vasilevsky had one of his better games. Vasilevsky's been teetering a little bit lately, but he was a lot better last night for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Even Jeff Glass, the old journeyman goalie for Chicago, had a pretty good game as well. Really couldn't have been faulted for either goal. Kunitz banks one in off him, and then a picture-perfect shot by Yanni Gourde to put the game away late in the third period. Chicago couldn't get the puck out of their zone. That's been an issue too. Like just at times Chicago gets hemmed in, and it's like a rat race in their own zone. It's like everybody running around like chickens with heads cut off. And I've seen that a few times with the Blackhawks, and I know Alex has seen it probably a million times more than not that. So that tells you what you see sometimes with Chicago. But let's give Tampa credit. They were struggling a little bit. They're looking to find some confidence. I think without Victor Hedman, they were not doubting themselves, but they hadn't won a game since he got hurt. They got pounded by Calgary 5-1 in the game that he got injured. Then they lost to Vegas decisively. Then they lost to Minnesota decisively. Starting to question themselves a little bit, but they found a way to get 2 points last night on the road against Chicago. Now they're playing the second night of back-to-back games here against this Nashville team. Really, is this potentially a Stanley Cup Finals preview? Maybe. I could make a case for a Tampa Bay Nashville Stanley Cup Finals. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I think Tampa Bay's a real good chance, even with this minor little struggle that they've had recently. The chances to me of them being in a Stanley Cup final still very, very high. Nashville, I think, has got every opportunity to get there as well. Nashville even, been a little bit more up and down lately, but more up lately. I mean, they've now won 5 in a row after a little bit of a up and down stretch for them. They beat LA, Edmonton, Vegas, Arizona, Florida. Goaltending's been key for them. Their goaltending's been very, very strong. We know Saros had that one really good start against Vegas, and even Pekka Rinne has had a better stretch of play lately. They're giving up shots, 43-40 shots allowed by Nashville, 2 of their last 3 games. Got to clean that up a little bit, but finding ways to win right now on a surging team. So I'm not in love with back in Tampa tonight, even though they got that win, got that confidence back. They're on a back-to-back. They're 2-5. Tampa Bay, second night of back-to-back games this season, which isn't anything to write home about. So in terms of this game right here, I'd be looking at Nashville or nothing. We'll see where that ends up going when puck drop hits, but lean to the Nashville side here in this game. I think it sets up well for them. Again, Tampa 2-5 on the back-to-back spot this season. Andrew McGinnis also involved with the Preds and Lightning, a really good matchup tonight down in Music City. Andrew, what are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, guys, should be a good one here. Look, Tampa Bay 1-6 straight up in their last 7 games when playing Nashville. 0-5 straight up in their last 5 games when playing on the road against Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. Look, when you say this could be a Stanley Cup final matchup, I think it possibly could be. I think Nashville will be there 100% this year. Again, I think they're a lot better of a team than last year. They're a more complete team, and I think they're 100% a playoff team. Still undecided if Tampa Bay has the playoff team kind of identity yet, and if they have that kind of look to their team so far. And I'll find that out as the season keeps progressing. But let's take a look at their last couple of games here. Last night against Chicago, 2-0 win. Then the 20th, a 5-2 loss to Minnesota. 18th, 4-1 loss to Vegas. 11th, 5-1 loss to Calgary. So look, in my opinion right now, they can only win games if they're putting up massive amount of numbers. This team looks easy to score on right now, guys. Their last couple big wins was right back on the 9th against Carolina, 5-4. And on the 7th, Detroit 5-2. So, look, you got to be able to win those close games that are low scoring, those 2-1, even 3-2 kind of games. You can't just expect to only win when you put up 5 or 6 goals. That's not how it's going to work. That's not how it's going to work in the playoffs. And that's not how it's going to work when you go into a building like Bridgestone Arena, when sometimes the crowd is so crazy. The players are playing at such high levels like Nashville does at home that you can't always expect to score 5 or 6 goals. So you got to either do one thing or up your defense or expect to be able to score that much every single night. Because right now, I don't think they're going to win games, especially like Nashville, by just putting up 1 or 2 goals per game. And looking at Nashville right now, I've been saying this about them kind of for the past couple of weeks here, but I think with the biggest thing with this team, it's kind of like the next man up mentality. Every game, it's someone new making an impact. It's not the same guy you can really count on to kind of carry this team. It's someone new, and I'll it sound like a broken record when I say this, but let's not forget this defensive core that we have. I mean, they're involved in most of the scoring that really goes on, whether it's a first assist or a secondary assist, whatever it is. Even Emelin wasn't always known to be an offensive guy back in the blue line. He's been getting involved now that he's paired with Subban. Ellis and Ekholm still doing their thing. And I honestly, I think Yossi is probably one of my favorite defensemen on the Preds because he's just so good at being a two-way defenseman. So I like Nashville on this one on the money line. I just think that they are way more of a serious and competitive team, and I think this will prove to a lot of people that Tampa Bay isn't this crazy team everyone thinks that they are. Nashville will be more fired up for this game, and I think Tampa Bay is will be a little bit tired, and they're not really. I don't think they're really fully dialed in, to be honest with you guys. So right now, I'm seeing minus 115 for Nashville money line, and I'll happily take that.
There we go, Nashville. I agree. That's a good side, I think, tonight in this game against Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay, again, feels a little bit better about themselves after the win last night, but fact remains they've struggled in this scheduling spot. I think they have a chance to have more troubles in this kind of spot tonight as well. We got Florida-Dallas, 63-64. Dallas minus 175. Heavy favorite, total 5.5 shade to the over. I don't need to belabor this game. It's Dallas or nothing. I don't trust Florida on the road. I don't trust Florida in general, but even less on the road. Dallas just absolutely piss pumped the Buffalo Sabres on Saturday. 7-1? Just crushed them. Just absolutely sent them into oblivion. It was a disgraceful performance from Phil Housley's crew. But I will give them credit. They did have a nice overtime win. They at least showed you a little pride and guts last night, Buffalo, that, hey, we do kind of care that we absolutely soiled ourselves on home ice over the weekend. And they came back and beat Calgary last night. Commendable effort from the Sabres. So I give them credit there. Jack Eichel scoring the overtime winner. Good for them. At least showing a little bit of pride for that wearing that jersey. About time. Florida, Dallas. Dallas, to me, one of those situations where they're playing good hockey. They really are. They're rounding into form, scoring. They're taking care of the defensive zone a lot better in recent games. No way I want Florida. So keep it simple here. Keep it short. Dallas or pass for me. Maybe Dallas on the puck line, -1.5. Give you a little bang for your buck here in this game as well. Maybe a Dallas team total over. Maybe a Florida team total under, because I like the way Dallas is trending defensively right now. I think it might not be easy for Florida to find the back of the net here in this game as they head to Big D tonight. We got Buffalo, Edmonton. Speaking of the Sabres, 65-62. We got no line here in this game. Buffalo, second night of back-to-backs for them. Certainly don't trust them to win 2 games in a row against anybody, to be honest with you. This is like Arizona. Although Arizona finally put 2 wins in a row together last night, beating the Islanders in overtime. But for the most part, you bet against Arizona off a win, you've done pretty well. Something like 7-20. Last 27 games off a win, Arizona. And it's not much better for the Buffalo Sabres in terms of being able to follow up one single victory with another one. I mean, it's been horrendous for the Buffalo Sabres in terms of their results after a win. So right there and then, I want no part of Buffalo because I don't trust them to win 2 games in a row. It was probably 8 years ago the last time they won 2 games in a row. I'm kidding, of course, but it feels that way right now with the Buffalo Sabres. Oddly enough, though, they've won 3 straight games head-to-head against the Edmonton Oilers, including earlier this season, 3-1. That was that game where Edmonton was dealing with the flu. Everybody was sick. Everybody was not feeling great going into that game. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. A little asterisk beside that Buffalo win earlier this season against Edmonton. Does Edmonton have a push in them? Because if Edmonton is going to have any sort of push in them to get back into this Western Conference playoff race, now's the time it's got to happen. And they have won 3 in a row. Now, granted, 2 of those wins, Arizona and Vancouver, nothing at all to be impressed about. But they did also beat Vegas on the road in overtime, 3-2. They have won 3 games in a row. They came out of their 5-day break to beat Vancouver in impressive fashion, 5-2, controlled the play, got good goaltending in that game, Edmonton, from Cam Talbot. They have to survive the absence of the Nuge. We talked about it. He's got cracked ribs. He's out 5 to 6 weeks. That hurts. But at least we're seeing a little bit of a light right now with Edmonton. They've won 3 in a row. But the thing is, they can't stop now. They got to turn this 3-game winning streak into an 8-game winning streak, or a 9 out of 10, or a 10 out of 12. They got to have that kind of extended run to give themselves even a glimmer of hope of getting back in this chase for a postseason spot in the Western Conference. Now, do they have it in them? I'm still not sure. Maybe, maybe not, but these are games you got to win. Okay, you got Buffalo coming in off a rare win. They haven't won 2 in a row in forever. They're on the second night of back-to-back here, although Calgary to Edmonton travel's not terrible. This is a game you got to win, period, end of story. If you want to be any sort of playoff team and make any sort of run at this is a game you got to win right now if you're the Edmonton Oilers. You got to get this done tonight. Now, I'm probably not going to be willing to lay any sort of price that you're going to be asked to lay with Edmonton here to find out if they're able to win this game. But as far as I'm concerned, I would either find some way to get after betting Edmonton puck line or team total or something like that, or I leave the game alone. I don't want the Buffalo side. I know that in this game. I believe we're going to see Robin Lehner in net. He's the guy. He was a disaster in the game against Dallas. His last start was pulled in that game. We got Chad Johnson in net last night for the Buffalo win against Calgary. So I think you're going to see Lehner in between the pipes tonight for the Sabres, and he's not really been all that good lately. So maybe a chance for Edmonton to keep their offense going. They pumped 5 goals in the other night against Vancouver. Maybe they can find the back of the net against Lehner and this still shaky Buffalo team. They did actually finally tighten up defensively last night. That was one of their better defensive games of the season. But second night of back-to-backs, I don't know if I can trust them to sustain it here going into this hockey game tonight. So, again, Edmonton's going to be priced too high, but I'd find some way to get after that side here tonight. Rangers in Anaheim, 67-68, 160 Anaheim. home favorite, total 5.5 shade to the under. This Rangers team, I'm telling you, they're crumbling right now. They're finding ways to lose games left and right. Other than one solitary win they had against the Flyers, it's been a real epic disaster and failure for them since their break. I mean, a colossal failure. They've lost every other game outside of that Philadelphia win since their break. A terrible second and third period after a real fast start in LA the other night. 2-0 early lead. They end up losing that game 4-2. They don't score again after that. And the LA Kings, who were struggling, the LA Kings were on a losing streak. The Rangers were the perfect tonic to end that losing streak the other night, Sunday night, as LA came back to beat the Rangers in that game. I don't want New York. This is not a team with confidence right now. Anaheim off a rare shoddy defensive performance against San Jose. They gave up 6 goals in that game, lose to the Sharks at home. Can't sit well with them. Again, I was looking to back Anaheim in this game, but it's just a little north of my cutoff point. You know, I've said it time and time again, minus 150. I'm not usually going above that, and not going to be doing that here in this game. So it's a game I'm going to be staying away from. And we'd finally like to welcome Dana Lane into the show here on this Tuesday, because this is his first game on the card that he's talking about, that he's got a wager on, that he wants to discuss here on the program. He's a night owl. He's a West Coast guy. He's living up to his West Coast reputation. All his games are on the West Coast tonight. So here he is, finally. The floor is his for the first time. Dana Lane, Rangers Ducks. Take it away.
Well, thank you for that, Ian. I appreciate it very much. Andrew, I do want to ask you, I mean, how many Bruins jerseys do you have to wear after losing 3 straight to the Bruins? I just wondered. It's incredible, and you got to let me swim in it a little bit, because Boston beating Montreal really does not happen very often. So thank you for that, and you do have a lot of headroom, actually. The Rangers and Anaheim tonight, you know, guys, listen, when we're betting totals, the first thing that we always look at is special teams. If you're betting overs and you have good penalty kill team and a team that doesn't perform well on the power play, then you're not going to get those extra goals to push you over the edge. Well, we don't have to worry about that now, because we are betting this game to go over. We're getting even money at 5 times. I can see right now some plus money in some places, but usually even money. But the first thing we're looking at is, how are these teams performing on the penalty kill? Well, if you're the Rangers, they're not performing very well. They give up 4 to Los Angeles, 4 goals total the other night to Los Angeles, 3 of which was on the penalty kill in one period. And normally they're a solid unit, but if you look at their recent form in the last 6 games, they certainly haven't been. So we definitely have that going for us until we can see that the Rangers have kind of righted the ship a little bit. We even have the luxury of the Kings being extremely efficient on the power play as of late. In their last 6 games that they've been successful on a 31% clip. So we have the Kings, a successful power play unit, against the Rangers that are not playing well on the power play. And why this is so important, and why do we focus on this? Well, it is conceivable that you will receive 1, 2 free goals, maybe 3 free goals on the power play to push your bet over the total, even if the 5-on-5 is not producing the way that you would expect them to produce. Those power play units can really either help you or hinder you, and that's why that's the first thing that I definitely handicap. And in fact, Nashville's been Rick Nash has been fantastic, you know, for the Rangers on the power play as well. So you got Nash playing well on the power play for the Rangers. You got them poor on the penalty kill. You got the Kings playing well on the power play. You could conceivably get 2 or 3 goals from both of these units tonight, and all you ask the 5-on-5s to do is get you maybe 2 more, and then you got perhaps the empty netter at the end. So I like this going over tonight on that even money. You can get some plus prices, but it's pretty much even money at 5 times right now.
Yeah, I mean, the Rangers have been over machined since the break. Really, and we talked about this on a couple shows last week, how the Pittsburgh and Islander games, they were giving up goals in bunches. Dana and I had the Rangers Flyer game over the total, which was 5-1 that game last week. The Buffalo game goes over the total. Dana was on that one. Buffalo Rangers over the total. I remember that. 4-3, that game ended. Colorado's the one that stayed under, but Colorado is playing pretty good defensively right now. And Jonathan Bernier's in a lights out zone right now in between the pipes for Colorado. So that probably went a long way to that game being the one game to stay under the total for the Rangers since this break of theirs ended. And then they pull the LA Kings into an over. And it's not easy it's like pulling teeth trying to get an over the total out of the LA Kings. And the Rangers were still able to do that the other night against them. So again, we're looking at a Rangers team that's 5-1 to the over 6 games after their 5-day break ended. So that has a chance to continue. You look at Anaheim's all of a sudden gone over the total 3 of their last 5 games. Dana brought up the PK stats. 2 power play goals allowed by Anaheim against San Jose. The Rangers gave up not 1, not 2, but 3 power play goals to the LA Kings on Sunday night. So you got some floundering, flailing penalty kills right now on both sides. So yeah, over 5.5. It kind of feels that way. Again, Anaheim's a hit or miss over team, but last time they played in this building was 6-3 Anaheim. That was last year, March 2017. So 6-3 Anaheim will get the job done in terms of over the total tonight in this game. So over 5.5 Rangers Ducks for Dana Lane. We got Columbus taking on Vegas here, 69-70 on the rotation here. What was it? Vegas minus 160 to minus 165 is the total here in this game, or is the side in this game. 5.5 the total, pretty much across the board here. Vegas, Columbus, don't really have much on this. I mean, it's a tough spot for Vegas. It's off that road trip. They've played a lot of games recently. This is one spot I'm not really in love with laying the price with Vegas here in this game. Odd quote from John Tortorella, in case you're wondering how he's attacking his players being in Vegas here for the first time. He says he's going to let them go out and have some fun. That's what he said. He came out in the media and said that in a quote that, hey, if they want to enjoy themselves, I'll let them do it. No problem at all whatsoever. So there's John Tortorella's thoughts to how he's approaching his players' time here in the one, the only, incomparable Sin City. As they prepare for this game against the Golden Knights tonight. Andrew McGinnis is equally preparing for this game like the Jackets are, because he's involved from a betting standpoint. Jackets and Knights tonight at T-Mobile, at the phone, as I like to call it, the phone booth. Andrew, what are you looking at here in this game?
The phone booth. Never heard that one, really. I like it, Ian. All right. Well, look, in this game right now, I think Columbus hasn't really been this exciting team that I've expected them to be. They're not really this high-scoring offense, and as much as Vegas can score, guys, I'm looking at the under in this one. It's gone under 4 of the last 5 games at home for Vegas, and 9 of their last 13 games altogether. But look, I honestly think this team is better when they're scoring low. That they're more focused when Fleury's behind them in between the pipes. They know they have a solid goaltender back there. They don't have to make too many mistakes. They don't have to take too many chances. The best thing about this Vegas team, and I'll continue to say it as the season progresses, they are number 1 team right now. And I know at our show, Dana and I had a little back and forth because he said, look, they're going to keep going. They're going to keep being the same team. And I said, well, look, at some point they have to fall off. But we haven't seen that so far, and maybe it will just keep going. But I think that they're going to progress themselves into an under team as this season progresses. I think that in order to make themselves a serious contender and a team that really can be taken seriously from every team, they're going to have to gather that under reputation and be able to win games that are low scoring. Now, looking back at Columbus's last couple of games here, they haven't really been able to put up numbers whatsoever. I mean, a 2-1 win versus Dallas, 5-2 loss versus Vancouver, 3-1 loss versus Buffalo, 3-2 win versus Toronto. So nothing really too significant that they've really been able to do. I mean, they've been putting up some numbers, but nothing too high powered. So for me, even though Vegas is known for putting up high goals, I think the goaltending, Fleury and Bobrovsky in this game tonight, West Coast game, Vegas at home, I'm liking the under at 5.5 at some spots, and I think it probably could creep up. But I'm liking the under in this one, guys.
Yeah, if we get Fleury in net, and I have no reason to think he won't be in net tonight for the Golden Knights. I mean, he is turning this team into an under machine right now with the way he's playing in between the pipes. I mean, he has been terrific, just outstanding for the Golden Knights. He's like, there were times early in the season he had the odd little wobble here and there. Not now. He has been absolutely outstanding and stellar for the Golden Knights. And really the one loss, the Florida loss, Subban, one of his weaker games, I would say a little bit, that game against Florida. So this is definitely going to start to turn into clearly Marc-Andre Fleury's net moving forward. I know they've given a lot of starts, Gerard Gallant's been very deliberate in terms of making sure Malcolm Subban gets a lot of starts, a lot of reps in net over the last few months. But I think this is gradually going to turn into the workhorse, Marc-Andre Fleury, in between the pipes as this season goes along. And he's rolling right now. He's feeling it. No question about that. He's been terrific. You look at each of his last 3 starts: the Nashville game, 1 goal allowed; Tampa Bay game, 1 goal allowed; Carolina game, 1 goal allowed. Pretty good. That's good goaltending right there, if I do say so myself. So very good goaltending. Usually leads to unders, and could here in this game as well. Couple injury notes as well for the Columbus side. Dubinsky's still out, Cam Atkinson's still out, Sonny Milano's out, and Sonny Milano's actually filled in admirably. He's contributed a little bit for this Jackets team. Ryan Murray out on the blue line, so some concerns for them. Columbus just haven't put things together. Columbus just 4-6 their last 10 games. They've been a little bit shaky. Did have a nice win out of the break against Dallas. One of the few teams to actually win coming out of the break against a team not out of the break was Columbus. 2-1 shootout win, but they did get outshot, outplayed. I thought Dallas had the better of the play in that game, but they were able to get the win in a shootout. So Columbus still trying to find their A game. Haven't really found it lately. We'll see if they can find it tonight in a tough place to play against the Golden Knights. We got LA Vancouver 71-72. LA minus 120 road chalk, total 5.5 shaded to the under. Vancouver, a team that suddenly offensively they've gone down the tubes again. 2 goals against Edmonton, shut out by the Winnipeg Jets on Sunday night. So 2 goals in two games, not very good on the offensive end. So it has me looking under the total. I know LA got over the total with the Rangers. I don't think it's going to be as easy for that to happen here against the LA Kings. So I'd probably look under the total here in this game. We've got 2 of the Ice guys in on this game, LA, Vancouver, Alex and Dana. Let's go to Alex. Your thoughts on Kings Canucks tonight in Vancouver?
We talked about it when we did our, the second half show a week ago with that, talking about, teams up or down. And I said, this is a huge spot for LA starting. This would be 11 of the next 13 games on the road. It's a team that had been doing well on the road early in the year. So these are games that they have to win. It's a division battle. They got two division games coming up back-to-back here and then against Calgary as well. And they've struggled, just like Vancouver has. 2 teams that were looking good early, and they've struggled late. So now with everything tightening up within the wild card race and especially the Pacific Division race, it's a huge game for both clubs. But you look at LA, the losses that they had on that 6-game losing streak, they weren't horrible losses. They weren't getting completely blown out. 2-1, 3-1 finals against some quality teams. And then they pick up the big 4-2 win against New York. So now they can use that momentum to take on a Vancouver team that's lost 5 of their last 6 at home. They've struggled against winning games within the division as well. So as a short chalk price, I'm looking at LA here. I think this is a game they want to start this quick 4-game road trip. Like I said, this humongous road stretch they have the next month. They need to start off with a good effort tonight. So I think we do see that here. And I think they're worth looking at land with a short price tonight.
Yeah, the boss Bruce Springsteen was no fool when he said you can't start a fire without a spark. Well, the LA Kings, they can't start a winning streak without a win. They got that, a little spark. Now they can start the fire, start to get on fire, maybe, and get on a little bit of a roll. And this is a team I think you got to look at this game if you're the LA Kings and say we got to take care of business here. It's the Vancouver Canucks. They're still one of the teams that's outside of the playoff race, outside looking in. Likely going to be looking to sell at the deadline, rebuild for the future. Got to take care of business in a game like this if you're the LA Kings and you're serious about making the playoffs. So from a situational perspective, now the question is, are they good enough right now to get the job done? We'll find out tonight. Dana Lane also in on the Kings Canucks. Dana, what are you looking at here?
It's crazy about the Kings because I remember early in the season at the Golden Knights games, you would hear talk about let's catch the Kings, and then they caught them, and then let's put the Kings away, and then they did, and now the Kings are completely out of the playoff picture, and they're fighting to get back in. But I don't get too excited about the playoff picture at this time of year because I remember a couple of years ago, I think the Kings had like a 16-point lead on the Ducks had a 16-point lead on the Kings, one way or the other, and the other team came back and caught them. So really, it's not anything to panic about right now, even if they happen to do lose this game. But From a total perspective, I mean, we talk about the Kings' 3 power play goals against the Rangers the other night, and this was after this team had connected in only one of their last 12. So perhaps they're getting hot in that realm. And we talked earlier about, hey, look, if you're going to bet over, I want to make sure that I have a team that's connecting and it can give me a chance offensively on a power play. And maybe this is the start of a hot streak for the Kings in that column. One thing the Kings did extremely well against New York was get a lot of traffic in front of Lundqvist, and I've been screaming about this for weeks, that this is the one thing that Los Angeles just has not done. In fact, you could pretty much go right down the board. I mean, as far as teams having success on the power play, if Vegas would ever stop with that stupid drop pass that when it doesn't work, waste 30 seconds of their power play, I think they would have a lot more success because they do a good job of getting Alex Tuck in front. But anyway, back to the Kings. If you go up and down the power play statistics, the teams that consistently get traffic in front of opposing netminders have the most amount of success. And the Kings, lo and behold, started to do that against the Rangers and had a bunch of success against them. My only worry about the Kings is their first period. If you're betting a side on this, but for me, if I'm playing the over, I mean, either they have a good period or don't. It doesn't matter to me, because if they give up 2 goals, that's good for me. And if they come out and are smoking on the power play, get 1 goal in the first period, that's good for me too. And there's also some questions about Jonathan Quick as well, who I think since the second week of December, his save percentage has actually been below the league average. So, if he continues that trend, that's good for us as well. So basically, with my 2 non-best bet plays today, I'm taking 2 plus money games, and if one wins, we win money. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching this tonight. I will be taking the Kings in Vancouver to go over the total, and you're getting $1.15 at Pinnacle right now, which is a great number.
There you go. Good price to go over 5.5, and that's what Dana's doing. LA, Vancouver over 5.5 for him. We wrap it up with Winnipeg, San Jose, 73-74. San Jose minus 120. Total 5.5, shaded to the under. I'm going to keep it very simple. I really like what I'm seeing defensively in 2 games from the Winnipeg Jets, to the point where I'm comfortable backing them here in this spot. It's been a lot of games in a short period of time for the San Jose Sharks. This has been a intense, lots of games in a low period of time cycle for them. And for an older team, I think that catches up. They've been a little sluggish. I know they had eked out a win against Pittsburgh the other night. Give them credit, but it was a very hard-fought, tight, physical game. I think could be a little hangover from that here for the San Jose Sharks. I like what Winnipeg's doing. You're going to get Hellebuck in net. They don't play tomorrow night. They're going to ride the goaltender that's been playing great for this Winnipeg Jets team all season. So give me Winnipeg right now, plus 100. No problems taking that price with Winnipeg, playing good hockey against this San Jose team. I think they got a chance to get the job done tonight. And again, it's not necessarily what their offense is doing right now. It's their defense. They're clamping down. The goaltending's been good. I think the Jets can ride that to victory tonight. Dana's also involved with the Jets and Sharks. Dana, what's your take on this one?
Yeah, real quick on this, Ian, because this is also my best bet as well. I guess I just gave it away, but I understand what you're saying, and I get that, and I'm, it totally makes sense. But I consider San Jose one of the best teams in the National Hockey League, and I think that they're a better team than Winnipeg at this point. Not a lot better, because I think Winnipeg is also right there as well. But the depth scoring from San Jose right now, I mean, you can go down to their third line and still expect offensive contributions, which they have been getting as of late. They've had against the Ducks, they had 5 different goal scorers, and so if you're playing like that, and you've got a lot of, even if there's some fatigue going on, and you're right, they are going through a gauntlet of the schedule. Even if there is some fatigue, when you have a lot of guys that are feeling it and that they know that they can contribute on a nightly basis, when the way that they play defense, you really only need them to put up 2 or 3 goals, and perhaps they could shut down Winnipeg, maybe 4, whatever. But the fact of the matter is that with the amount of guys that I feel like can contribute and have been contributing, I still think I have a good shot at minus $1.15.
All right, there we go. San Jose for Dana Lane. So him and I head to head. I'm on Winnipeg. Not my best bet, Winnipeg, but it is a bet for me. Winnipeg Jets plus 100. Again, I think this gauntlet does catch up with the Sharks. We'll see. Dana thinks the Sharks can still find a way in that gas tank to get it done tonight with the San Jose Sharks on home ice. So with that in mind, let's go to best bets. Dana, we already got his, so his is done, taken care of. So we'll get to Andrew, Alex, and myself. Best bets for the show. Let's go to Andrew. Your best bet.
Best bet tonight: Nashville money line minus 115. Nashville 6-1 straight up on their last 7 against Tampa Bay. Nashville going for their 6th win in a row. They're at home. They're at exciting Bridgestone Arena, and they're an overall better team than this Tampa Bay Lightning team, especially being at home. I love it. I think right now this isn't gonna. I'm not saying by any means it's going to be a blowout type game. It's going to be a lopsided victory, but I'm saying it could be a close game. But Nashville just has that extra step to them right now. I think defensively is most important. They're going to shut down the top guns for Tampa Bay and probably take care of business in around 3-2, 4-2 type game. Nashville money line minus 115.
All right, Nashville minus 115. Best bet for Andrew. Alex, yours best bet for tonight.
Well, I'm going with the LA Kings, and I'm seeing prices around 115 to 120 at different shops. But I think this is, like I said, it's a huge game for them. They've got to really clamp down and get some wins on the road again. Get some some points. Like I said, I know this is a little bit early to start talking about playoff positioning, but with how tight everything is, especially the Western Conference, you can't overlook the fact of beating teams within your division right now. I think teams are really realizing that the gap between first and being out of the wild card spot is extremely slim. So every point is going to be crucial. I think that starts now. And I think that starts, like I said, keep that spark going from that 4-2 win. Keep riding that momentum as much as you can and beat a team that they should be able to take care of. So LA Kings minus $1.15. That's my play for best bet for tonight.
All right, LA for Alex. I had a bunch rattling around for best bet. I'm not going to use Colorado because even though I will be on that side because I don't know if I'm going to get Hammond or Bernier. I considered Nashville as well. I'm going to go now that I see the price starting to come out across a bunch of books. Philadelphia minus 120. I'm going to use that as best bet at bookmaker/Chris. You can find that number. Philadelphia Flyers minus 120 at Detroit. Detroit on the second night of back-to-backs off a big win at Jersey without Taylor Hall, though. I think a tough spot for them coming back home against this red-hot Flyers team. Again, these red-hot teams, I want to back them. I don't want to go against them. Flyers fit that mold. Give me Philadelphia minus 120. That'll be my best bet for the Tuesday card. That'll wrap up the show. Right side of campus, Big Man and Donnie. Coming up next for Andrew, for Alex, for Dana. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Enjoy the Tuesday night hockey card. We'll be back again on Thursday.